Hi guys and welcome back to my channel on this very small corner of the internet where I make videos all about Avon. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm going to get straight to it. The cover story that is leading the August Avon book, and that is, of course, if you've seen one of these, the Avon foundation versus a high-end leading prestige foundation. If you like me and you know your beauty stuff, you'll recognise what this foundation is straight away. This is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. They're saying customers loved as much as the UK's #1 prestige foundation. So I am here to look into it. I have never used the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation before. So the Long Wear Foundation blind test. We asked over 100 makeup lovers to blind test our longest lasting foundation against the UK's #1 prestige foundation. Now 78% liked it as much as Estee Lauder Double Wear for all day staying power, based on a consumer study with 120 participants. What stood out to me was the fact that this headline is 78% like it as much as Estee Lauder. So they don't necessarily prefer it, but they like it as much as. That for me is as good as anything. If you like it as much as the leading brand, then why wouldn't you make the saving and go for the Avon one? So one thing I did notice in this campaign, Avon have dropped the price to £8. Now it's been £8 before, but it's usually £12. In the July book, which I've got here, it was £12, but usually they run the offers saying that it's £8, but usually 12. But on here, it doesn't say usually £12. If they've dropped the price, I don't know, or whether it'll be £8 just for this campaign, so that they can obviously say that there's a higher saving. Yeah, that's interesting. The POWERSTAY foundation is a buildable matte foundation that stays put and stays fresh, and I can vouch for that. It is a really good foundation. It stays put and it stays fresh. It doesn't let me down. So with that little bit of backstory, let's take a look at the foundations. So this is my trusty POWERSTAY foundation. This is in the shade Shell. It's, like I said, really great foundation. It's in a nice glass bottle, nice and heavy, sturdy, feels kind of high end, and it comes with a pump, which is amazing. This is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. This is the first time I've ever had one of these. I was walking past Boots yesterday and I saw the Estee Lauder counter and I just thought, there's an opportunity if I ever saw one. So the way I did this was, there's obviously, with Estee Lauder being in Boots, there's no staff on the counter because it's just like one of the walk up. If I perhaps went to Selfridges, I could have spoke to a rep and got sampled for a foundation. I'm pretty well experienced in picking out foundation shades, so what I actually did was I went to the L'Oreal stand and I picked a shade of L'Oreal, which is 200. I think it's Natural Rose, and that is the shade I've always had L'Oreal foundations in, and I used one as recent as last year, so I figured I know that 200 shade suits me, and it's roughly about the same shade as Shell. So what I did was I got that on my arm, so my hands are really tanned, so it's never a good idea to test foundation on your hand if you can see how much darker my hand is to my actual face, and also my neck, so it's not a good idea to test it on your hand. So I tested it on my wrist, which is a little bit paler, it's a little bit more like the skin on my face. So I got a big old dollop of the L'Oreal 200 shade on my arm here, and then I trotted over to the Estee Lauder counter, took a deep breath, tried to ignore the horrendous yellow lighting that was just pouring into my eyes and making everything really hard to see, and just started in the middle. I know I'm pretty much in the middle, neutral, and work my way down to the paler stuff, and I think I've got the right shade. I matched it on my arm next to the L'Oreal one. It looked roughly similar. I think this is a little bit lighter. If you're gonna just guess a foundation shade, you're better off being a little bit lighter, because you can always darken it with your face powder, or by the time you've added your blusher and your concealer and your bronzer or whatever it is you're wearing, by the time you've added all that into place, a lot of the time it sort of settles in your skin and it doesn't look like stark white, obviously, unless it's like horrendously mismatched. I would prefer that than it being too orange, too dark. This is the shade 2W0 Warm Vanilla. First things first, this cost £35. £35. I mean, £35. Just let that sink in. This costs £35. And this one at the minute is £8. So just let that sink in. Cosmetics companies are raking it in at the minute with this cost of living crisis. It's like they know people still want to buy makeup. They know people want to look good and feel good, yet these prices are astronomical. No, don't get me wrong, Chanel has a foundation that's £90. I usually find with daily use, my POWERSTAY or whatever foundation I'm wearing at the time usually lasts 2 to 3 months. That's with everyday use. I'm somebody that wears it 5 to 7 days a week. A lot of people don't. Some people wear it once a week, twice a week. I wear it most days of the week. You're getting 70 uses out of this, say. You can break it down and justify it as 50p a day or whatever, but it's still an expensive sum of money. So this is the beautiful packaging. As you can see, it's in a frosted glass bowl, similar to the POWERSTAY one. It looks lovely. There's the same amount of product. They're both 30ml. This one's got SPF 10, which is alright. A little bit of extra SPF, never does you any harm. So it feels super fancy. Mrs. Estee Lauder has the audacity to charge us £35 for a foundation that doesn't even come with a pump. This kind of behaviour outrages me. Who wants to apply a foundation straight from the bottle? Where are you putting this? Are you going to spill it all out onto your brush? Are you going to dump it all on the side of your hand? Like, where are you putting it? It really drives me balmy. MAC are just as bad for this. You can buy their pumps. I think their pumps are like £12. This pump actually probably fits in it because they're usually pretty standard. That probably fits, but I'm not going to try. I'm going to start with the POWERSTAY on this side of my face. So let's just go for it. So I always just give a couple of pumps. I'm just going to do 2 pumps because this is only half my face. So let's pop this on. It's really hard to put makeup on just half of your face. We will try and do this as best as possible. So let me know in the comments, how are you guys? What have you been up to? Thanks for sticking around and for watching my videos. I hope that you're enjoying them. Are you having a nice summer? What kind of things have you been up to? Please let me know. So I always bring my foundation down onto my neck a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit more on because I'm not going to be applying any concealer or anything like that. Just literally the foundation. So I'm trying to do half my nose. Now, of course, not everybody likes this amount of coverage. I like a good coverage if I'm just wearing this in the day going to work. I really only apply a couple of pumps. If I'm going out, then I will add a little bit more in. I'm going to put this on the back of my hand. Please, 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 I hope that this looks okay. And I think it does, actually. This is very liquidy. It's very runny for a full coverage foundation. Considering it's so runny, that could be a problem. Can you see any difference? I don't think you can. Look lovely, and I think that that's where the whole 78% of people love it as much as comes from, because it is just as lovely as the POWERSTAY one. I have some other theories as to why 78% of people love this as much as POWERSTAY. Number one, the price. The LAUDER Double Wear is going to set you back £35, and that's now. Like, it makes me wonder, in 5 years' time, are we going to be buying £40 foundations for like your average high-end foundation? I think that the coverage is slightly thicker, only slightly, but slightly thicker than the POWERSTAY foundation. I would say that 78% of customers don't want a full mask coverage, and most people, I would say, don't want a mask type foundation, so I would probably say that the coverage is another reason why. There's no pump, so those 78% of people probably liked POWERSTAY just as much, even though Estee Lauder is good, but they preferred POWERSTAY just as much because I would say, well, there's a pump, and for me that's a big thing. With AVON, most good AVON reps will give you free samples. They'll get a good wide range of shades for you to test at home. One thing I noticed at the Estee Lauder counter was the shade names were a minefield. Avon's shade names are pretty standard, pretty easy. Ivory pink, porcelain, light ivory, ivory, warm ivory, light nude, nude, shell, etc, etc. They're pretty standard. It was like SW1, 2W1, 2W2, 2W0. So yeah, they were like really confusing. I am getting a little bit of a paint smell coming from this side of my face. Now I've let the foundation settle into the skin for about 10 minutes. I am struggling to see any differences in my skin. Underneath my eyes look pretty much exactly the same, considering I haven't applied any concealer. That's good coverage from both. You can't see any blemishes really. So those are my thoughts on the POWERSTAY versus Estee Lauder. You know I love this anyway. I like this one. It's £35. I'll use this and I'll enjoy it. But this one is still the one that I've just thrown on the floor. Thank God I didn't throw this on the floor with the top off. I hope you enjoyed this little review. Please let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.